We're going. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the news briefing for this Wednesday. A county-wide project that focuses on technology and cyber dangers for children has resulted in a video and resources that really put concerns and prevention information for children right into focus. Just in time for April, being Child Abuse Prevention Month, we want to make sure that parents, guardians, and those who care about children know about this fantastic resource. And we've brought together some really fantastic people to talk about it. So I first want to introduce the three of you, and then we'll get going and talking about your project. I'd like to introduce Ginger Pierce. She is the director of the Child Abuse Prevention Council. Alex Carrillo is a deputy probation officer here at the County of Monterey. And Nikko Bautista is a communications specialist with the Monterey County Office of Education. And you wouldn't think you'd bring all these three people together, these diverse groups together, but here they are. And so, Ginger, I'm hoping you can start off and talk a little bit about the Child Abuse Prevention Council and then launch into your project.
Sure. Thanks, Mia, for the opportunity. So the Child Abuse Prevention Council, sometimes referred to as CAPC, it actually started in the 1970s in Chicago, and it's a nationwide effort to pull voices together from the public, from private, from the community, to really talk about how to keep children safe, home, and thriving, right? Here it started officially in Monterey County over 30 years ago, and the Board of Supervisors made this group a formal group for the County of Monterey. And since that time, it's had a lot of iterations. And about 7 or 8 years ago, the state of California decided that they wanted to kind of have a blueprint for child abuse prevention councils. And by doing this, they said their roles were to be the catalysts, the conveners, and coordinators of keeping children safe and at home. And why this is important, and I've been in the child welfare field for over 30 years, is that we all know since 1972, the world has changed. What we thought about and what we talked about when we were talking about child abuse and neglect was really physical abuse by caregivers, sexual abuse. And today in our world, it's just much different, right? We have online predators, we have school shootings, we have fentanyl, we have all these things that make it so much more complex to raise our kids in a safe world. And that is what that brought us to this project. The voices really came from the community, and I'll let Alex talk about that, but it was people from probation, people from behavioral health, parents when we would do parent education classes through CAPC, who would talk about not understanding social media, not understanding the dangers, not understanding how to monitor. And that is when we decided to work with the Monterey County Office of Ed to do a video. And actually the start of this came from the two parents in the video who said, we need to let our community know more about it. So that's kind of how it started, and it happened really quick. The best part about this project is I think you can really feel, and I've had parents say, you can really feel that it's about the community. Nobody came in with their title or their hat or they just about saving our community and keeping it safe. And that this video was for everybody to use. It'll be on the CAPC website. We have a social media page that has a bunch of references. So we did it for the community because we all really believe in our community and our family.
Ginger, first of all, thank you so much for being the director of CAPC, which is just one of those unsung organizations that if people don't know about it, they really should. And so I want to move from Ginger to Alex. Alex, I'm hoping you can talk about how you got involved in this. And it really came from not only your work, but as just a member of the community.
Absolutely. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Sure can.
So once again, I've been with the Monterey County Probation Department for quite a number of years. I'm going on 18 years, 13 years as deputy probation officer. I'm currently assigned to our juvenile division for the JSORT program. Now, the JSORT program stands for Juveniles Who Have Sexually Offended Response Team. So I work with a subset of youth who have problematic sexualized behaviors. And one of the things I kept seeing over and over and over again is where they're getting their information from, right? A lot of parents would meet with me saying, I don't know where my child learned this. I don't know where he found out it was okay that he could send pictures of himself nude. And just, parents need to be educated too, right? Because we were noticing if parents weren't having that simple birds and bees talk with their kids, the internet was going to do it for them. Right. And so kids were reaching out to the internet, getting all the information they could. And as kids, they spend so much time on the internet, all these social media sites like Snapchat, Instagram, even file sharing services like Discord. Kids were going on there, getting any information, inundated with information that was very harmful to them. And in doing this video, this is us giving back to the community and the parents saying, hey, you're not alone, right? You do have a team out here that's willing to help you. In my position as a probation officer, I really want to help the community, right? I mean, this is my community that I grew up in, that my sons grew up in, and their siblings grew up in. It's an opportunity for us to let parents know, it's okay to ask these questions. It's okay to talk to your child and say, where did you learn that? And if you don't know the questions, well, we have programs like this, right? We have CAPC, and we have some of these other organizations that are really here to help parents identify some of the risks of social media, and social media and technology. It's evolving every minute, and it's hard to keep up. And we're doing our best to get the information out there, letting them know we can and we will, and we want to support them.
Boy, you said the magic words there, keep up. Very hard to keep up for parents. Our children know so much more about what is out there than we do. And so I really appreciate you bringing that up. And where were you guys when I was raising my son? So really glad to see this out there. So I want to bring in Nikko Bautista from the Office of Education, who really was the nuts and bolts of putting the video together. And Nikko, I'm hoping you can talk about, your role in this, and then how you brought these people together and the information they shared.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Sure can.
Yeah, so most of the gathering of the community was all done by Ginger, really. Being new to the education field, she did a really big part of bringing all the people together and bringing awareness to the community. So for me, as a new person into the community, understanding the real problem, but also having grown up with online technology and the rapid paces of its growth, I can kind of like help bridge that gap in order to piece together the I guess the video itself. And the video itself can be pretty much summarized into like three different parts. One addressing all the online dangers, going from overshared images to the mental health and cyberbullying of like children and people online. But it even touches on a little bit about AI and how that affects our youth as well. The second part can be described as parental challenges and digital gaps, digital knowledge gaps with the ever-growing digital landscape. And then the final part, it's kind of summarized as building a culture of digital responsibility and safety, teaching people about digital citizenship education, and it's a collective action for everybody. Yeah.
So I'm hoping you can show us a little bit of the program that you put together.
Yes, absolutely. I do have a video queued up.
So that the video it's 13 minutes in English, and we're finalizing the Spanish, and it'll be maybe a minute or two longer, but so the community knows it will be accessible in both languages. We're just going to show you a few minutes, 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay, let me go ahead and queue that up. Hold on. Okay, I think. Give me 1 second here. Ooh, there we go. I think I have to share my screen. One moment. Hold on. Sorry about that.
Ginger, well, let's let Nikko work on that. And Ginger, remind people where they can find the video, the CAPC website.
Sure. So the CAPC website is www.capcmonterey.org. So we are a .org because CAPC is a service to the entire community, right? We really want to emphasize that although it is housed within Monterey County, it is really for our entire community, and we have voices from the public, the community. And you can do /social-media-safety. That gives you the social media pages. But if you get on the website, it's pretty self-explanatory. There's a menu. We also do public service announcements. This year we chose safe sleeping, and we do those, and they're run on our local television stations because co-sleeping by littles with their parents or caregivers can be a fatality cause in Monterey County. We have had children pass away from that. And so we want to educate parents on safe sleeping. So that's just another of many of the topics that we address.
Thank you. Nikko, do we have it?
Yep. Yeah, we're ready.
All right.
Here we go.
Ready to go.
Can you guys see the screen? Okay. Let me know if the audio works, if you can hear.
Platforms like Snapchat, Instagram. Sometimes we've seen some cases on through Discord.
The one we would have the most trouble with has been Snapchat. Things are getting sent, people are screenshotting them, keeping them, and then forwarding it on to whoever it is.
We see a lot of online cyberbullying happening amongst children at school, online, as well as what we call revenge pornography, where children may consent to photographs being taken of them that are later shared with people who shouldn't have access or who were not given consent to view those photos.
Posting videos of fights that are actively happening while they're in real time or that have already happened, or people are really getting injured, making fun of people if they're gay or their ethnicity or their race. And there's ways that you can like color over photos, and a lot of gang stuff is online as well. And then unfortunately, children do not realize that when they are passing pictures or inappropriate videos, they are in possession of childhood porn, which is a crime.
They exchange social media accounts, and after that, the traffickers started sending this youth false advertisements for modeling agencies. They could likely be coerced into maybe posting nude or posting in a sexual seductive way, and that's how the trafficking can start. A victim can be anybody, and a trafficker can be anybody as well.
There are videos that exist that mess with people's heads and get them to think certain things, that devices are talking to them. They become friends with the device, thinking it's an actual human. AI nowadays is horrible. We know of cases that have happened across the United States where kids have committed suicide thinking that they are going to meet their AI friend because of that relationship they built with a device.
The biggest complaint that I have from parents is fights over the phones. The kids won't give up their phones. And in that case, I always tell them you need to turn off their service and set some ground rules before you allow them to keep using their phones.
What I notice is sometimes our parents don't always know how to use those applications and that social media. And what that does for kids is there's not a lot of supervision and oversight from parents. And I have seen that because parents aren't aware, they don't always know who their kids are interacting, what it is that they're doing online. And so that can be pretty unsafe. It places our kids in our community at risk, so they may be actually contacting adults, and before the kid knows it, they're really engaging in an unsafe relationship with somebody online, and parents may not be aware, or they might find out, further down the line.
Nikko, thank you so much for showing that portion of it. So, a question for all three of you. There are challenges in every generation of parenting. Each generation of parents is going to have new dangers to worry about, for their children. What makes the cyber dangers and AI and the things that you brought here really kind of a new level of danger for parents? It really is different from even 20 years ago that parents might worry about cyber issues.
In my opinion, it would be, first of all, predators can get into your home with your child. They don't need to leave the house to be preyed on anymore. It can happen when they're at the dinner table with their family and they're on their phone. It can happen when they're in the bedroom or in school. And so, and some parents feel hopeless, like there's nothing they can do based on the fact that they can access all these electronics at any time and get access to your kids. So I think the better off and the more informed we are as parents and as adults and as teachers, as therapists and other support in the community, the better position we'll be in to protect our kids in the future.
And I think for me, I don't want to minimize the benefits of technology. We're lucky enough to have Dr. Jackie Cruz from Hartnell open both videos and talk about the technology has really opened up an educational world. We're not saying that technology is always bad. What we're saying is that we have to understand how it can be used appropriately, how it can be monitored as a parent, and we have to really give permission to one another to do that monitoring. That is part of parenting. Just like you would tell your child, don't talk to strangers. The internet's a stranger. You don't know who was on the other end. So it's really making it a common dialogue in our community so that children expect that oversight. Because in the end, our children do want to be safe. And we do also want them to get to use all the benefits technology has to offer, in the education, MapQuest, all those great things that we can use as well.
And I also just want to give a shout out to all the parents who are trying so hard, because parenting is not for sissies. This is a really tough job, and this new layer of danger is just another thing that as a parent you're trying to navigate. How do I bring this child up safely? And so what words of encouragement do you have for parents out there who are just really trying to do the right thing and still have that, they want to have that relationship with their child, but they also have to do the tough part of setting the boundaries?
Well, I would also defer to Alex, but what I would say is we signed up for this as parents and caregivers, right? This is part of the job. And in my 30 plus years working in child welfare and family and children service related fields, I really have met every parent that I have met really is trying to do the best they can do with the resources and the knowledge and the skills that they have. And this is just such a critical part of our future. And we need to get a handle on how we navigate this, parent around this, because this is not going away. This is going to be here and change and grow. So part of the goal of this video and all the people that freely gave up their time to do this is to really kind of bond with each other as caregivers and parents and community adults to create that safety place for kids to also talk to us, for them to talk to us when they are feeling unsafe online, when they do get a photo online, when they do get a photo text, because they will. Every child will get an inappropriate photo text to them, set through Snapchat, and we can't ignore that's the reality that we live in today.
Alex, do you want to add anything to that?
I can attest to what Ginger was saying. I see it all the time on my caseload, and for all the referrals we get from the police departments all over the county. Some of the advice I always give to parents when I meet with them, a lot of the parents are distraught. They tell themselves, where did I go wrong? What was my mistake? And we just let them know that, there is support out there, and getting this video out there is really going to help parents identify the resources and the programs in the community that's going to help them and teach them and provide to them. Another thing I tell parents too, sometimes with electronics, if you can navigate your way around your child's phone, then maybe you need to think about a different phone, right? Some youth have, cell phones like Bark phones where everything is controlled by the parent, including permissions to download apps, go to websites, add contacts, etc. And then one of the final things I tell parents too is that, your children need a parent. They don't need a friend right now. They need you to be a parent and to set those, boundaries down. And if you need help, we're here to help you, do that.
Thank you, all three of you, for being here and talking about the subject and sharing a snippet of the video. So just a reminder for people who want to see the video, papc.org. Ginger, am I correct?
CAPC, CAPC Monterey.org. And right now we have all the tools that are alluded to. There's also on the end of the video a QR code that you can scan and it'll take you to that page. The video itself is being downloaded this week. This is really hot off the press. It only was done about 2 weeks ago, but their resources are already there. And it's also on YouTube. So you can also access through YouTube, but capcmonterey.org. And then there's tons of resources on the website beyond even this. So
Thank you all. Thank you all for being here. It was a fantastic project. And we'll continue to share this information on our social as well to support you. We appreciate it. All right, we're going to continue on the topic of child safety. A critical safety net for children is care when they cannot live at home. Out-of-home care is a range of services provided to children who cannot safely or appropriately live at home for a variety of circumstances. It's a huge commitment, including not only safe housing, but medical care. We're very pleased to have Eva Marie Jeronimo, who's the Deputy Director of Family and Children's Services with the County of Monterey. You saw a little bit of her in the video that we just saw as well, and she's going to talk about out-of-home care and other resources. Hi, Eva. Thanks so much for being here.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Yes, so out-of-home care. In Monterey County, Family and Children's Services operates a 24/7 hotline where we receive many calls reporting suspected abuse and neglect. And as part of our process and assessment, we conduct an investigation based on the information we receive. In the last few years, approximately 4 years, we started holding child and family team meetings with the parents and the network as part of the investigation and assessment process. Because of that work in partnership with parents and their network, as a department, we've been able to decrease the number of children that come into out-of-home care. For example, in 2014, Family and Children's Services had 388 children from Monterey County in out-of-home care. And when we look at the data in January of 2024, we had 107 children from Monterey County in out-of-home care. That's really been due to the work that we've done to partner with parents and their network and relatives to really create safety plans to do anything that we can that's possible to prevent children from coming into out-of-home care. We do have situations at times where we're not able to have a safe plan for the children, and in those situations, they do end in out-of-home care, and then the department works through a process to reunify with parents, relatives, or legal guardians. So that is part of a service and support we provide. In 2024, the department did reunify 57 children with their parents. And we also established 26 adoptions. And as of this week, we had 135 children in out-of-home care. Then we're working with their network, their parents, their support to establish permanency and get them home if we can, and if not, provide a permanent home for the children. So this is where, if you hear about resource family homes, we're always looking for community members that have an ability and a desire to open up their homes to provide care, supervision, and support to our children in Monterey County that are in need of short-term or long-term support through placement. Currently in Monterey County, we have 88 resource family approved homes that are community-based. So community members that have stepped up to say, I want to open up my home to take placement of one of the children in Monterey County. And we have 78 additional homes that are relative homes. So those relatives or near kin that have stepped up to provide care for children in Monterey County. So I always, whenever I'm asked, I'm glad and happy to share that there are ways in which our community can provide some additional support to our kids so that they don't have to be in out of county, out of home placements.
I'm really glad that you were able to provide the numbers because this is one of those issues that can be controversial. People struggle with how they feel about out-of-home care. And this is really difficult for social workers to navigate when is it the right time and the time that the children do need to come out of living at home and elsewhere, and for how long. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about that process because it is not an easy process.
Correct. So we do have a process where during the child and family team meeting, if we are not able to find a safety plan or a different plan for the child, and they do have to come into out-of-home care, we file a petition to court. Through court, we go through that legal process. And so then the families are offered services to try to address and eliminate the safety concerns. So, the process could take on average of 6 months, 12 months. And so during that time, we're working with the parents, the caregiver, the relatives, or the near kin and support to the family to address those safety concerns. So we go through a process of an average of 12 months, depending on the safety situation that we are working to address together.
And you've pointed out and said several times this is really about safety. I think there may be misperceptions in the community that there's a discriminatory process, so that you're really looking only at a certain type of people who you think their children should be removed. And I was hoping you might talk about that is just really not the case. Someone who may not have enough money, it really isn't about, finances, it's about safety.
Correct. Always goes down to safety and the family's ability. And when I say family, it could be the parent, it could be anybody within that family that provides support and care for the children. So it's about impact to that child, the specific reason that is a safety concern. And we understand that there are different factors that can attribute to a family falling on hard times and maybe not having as many resources. So that's also part of our assessment. And we do work to try to connect families to additional resources and really look at parents' ability to meet the safety needs of their children. And so we do have different avenues where we provide support to parents in other ways. And yes, I agree. It's a difficult conversation sometimes to have because we all, of course, want all of our children in Monterey County to have all the resources they need. And, we partner with various community partners such as CAPSI and different community partners to provide some additional resources to parents. Similar to what Ginger said earlier, in all of my years working in family and children's services, in the many different ways that I've interacted with parents, I know parents love and care for their children. And so really supporting them through the process.
So I'm wondering if you could tell people if there's first you've got a lot going on here. So if someone needs help, if someone feels that they need resources, where should they call? If someone wants to be a resource family where they feel that they have the bandwidth in the home for a child, and then if someone sees something that they just think isn't right, where should they call? I don't know if it's all the same number or different numbers.
There are different numbers. I can put them on the chat. I have the number where if somebody's interested in becoming a resource family home, they would call 831-755-4475 and ask to speak to a social worker in our resource family approval unit. We also have an email address that we provide for those that are interested in knowing more about how do you become a resource family home, and that is rfa@co.monterey.ca.us. And I can pull up the because we do have a different number for those that are wanting to call to make a report suspecting child abuse or neglect.
That hotline number would be great to have.
Yes. One minute. I just had the Resource Family Home number, but I will get it to you in just a minute.
No problem.
So there are two numbers for our hotline. It'll get you to the same unit for our social workers that take the calls. It is 831-755-4661 or 1-800-606-6618.
And then also, I want to give you a second to put that information in chat for families that are looking for resources. We saw you in that CAPC video, and we know that there are a lot of resources at CAPC for families. And I'm sure there are also resources on the Department of Social Services website that people can also begin to look and see what there might be for them as well. And I'm wondering if you can confirm that, there are resources available for families.
We do. I can also add it to the chat. We do have a specific website for Resource Family, and it's open to the community to be able to also take a look. I will put it in the chat shortly.
No problem. Thank you. Ava, thank you so much for walking us through this. And I also, during our budget hearings, some of the Department of Social Services staff was discussing out-of-home care and medical costs. And that is something that I think the average person may know about resource families and the foster system and the needs of out-of-home care, but they may not realize that medical care also comes hand in hand with taking care of children. And I'm wondering if you could just explain a little bit about that commitment that the county is making to those children.
Yeah, so when we do receive a call reporting suspected abuse or neglect related to meeting the child's basic needs or any additional medical needs that they may have, we go through the process of our investigation assessment. We hold a child and family team meeting, and if it's determined that the child can't remain safe and maybe needs a higher level of care, that is part of what we, as we go through the process, also provide. So that does include at times providing additional resources for significant medical needs that a child may need. And that does require our department to work closely with the doctors, the social workers, and we have a team of different people that are part of the child's team and the parents' team. And so there are times where that does include additional costs for out-of-home care to ensure that the children's needs are being met. Medical, dental, we also partner with Monterey County Office of Education to ensure that the children that we are working with, their educational needs are being met as well.
Thank you. And Ava, thank you so much for providing all this information and walking us through this. It is a tremendous commitment to these families and these children. And it was really great to hear the numbers that, people hear about children going into the system, but they don't always hear about them coming out. And knowing that there are adoptions and reunifications is really a positive outcome for a lot of kids.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for joining us on the news briefing this week. Our next briefing is next week, and we'll see you then.